Hello everybody, welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Scott, joined by Josh.
Hello, Scott.
Josh, my friend, one of the games that we're most looking forward to, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, seems to have done something that's ironically tying in with its namesake. It's about time that Activision came in, swung in, and brought their friend Microtransactions to
Oh, not him. I'm sick of him, man. Like he's always coming to parties uninvited. And
it's not what you want, is it?
He's not wanted, especially not on Crash Bandicoot. I don't want any of Microtransactions in-game app purchases, Scott, to be in this game that I'm actually really looking forward to. But I suppose, like you said, this is Activision, and we probably, in our heart of hearts, should have maybe expected it.
If you put it on a big set of digs, then Mr. Transaction is going to drop by. So that according to VG247, on the Microsoft Store for Crash Bandicoot 4, it literally just lists that the game will include in-app purchases. Now, the thing is with this, obviously it's kind of blown out because the natural assumption with anything close to the word microtransactions is that it's going to break everything and it's going to suck and whatever. But chances are that this refers to the skins because there are a couple of skins that you can pre-order if you pay the ludicrous $60 for this that it is at the minute. But yeah, you can get these pre-order skins. They're called tubular skins or whatever, and you can get them. But I assume that they're just tagging this on as like it's sometime in the future these pre-order skins are going to be available in the game, like they always are with everything. And it's chances are it refers to that. But I guess, what's your initial take? Do you trust Activision to not do some sort of Wumpa Apple-based access to different levels or something like that?
No, I have no reason to give them any benefit of the doubt, but their kind of relationship with microtransactions in general over the past years, I think, has shifted a little bit dramatically. I feel like it reached a peak with Black Ops 4. That was a game that was completely tanked by its post-launch microtransactions and the way the community totally soured on that experience and the things and ways that Activision were changing the game. But when it comes to Crash and other kind of beloved remasters, they have managed to refrain from going all in on them. Yes, Crash Team Racing Nitro Kart Edition, is that what the full title is? You know what I mean? The Crash Team Racing game that was remastered. That has in-app purchases, you know what I mean? That's got skins and different vehicles and stuff like that you can buy with, that's it. You can buy with Wumpa coins. So I kind of feel like if they're going to have to implement microtransactions, it should be like this cosmetic only thing. And even that I don't fully like, because the idea of unlocking in-game costumes by, completing levels a certain way, or collecting all the crates, or getting, the gems and the relics and stuff, that would be more interesting. But of course, they're going to include something, and if they're going to include it, this is the path of least resistance, I suppose. The thing that makes me curious is that there's also a listing here for online multiplayer, online leaderboards, which I kind of hope that they're going to steer into the stuff that they did, I hope they're going to steer into monthly sort of time trials or relic challenges or something like that. I love the idea of them posting, there's this one sort of gold relic that's available this month and it goes to whoever gets the best time on this level, and there's that. But that idea of having online leaderboards going forward for months or years at a time means that you need people to monitor that stuff and look after it, which means wages, which means some sort of way of having a recurrent spending model, which worked in Crash's case, in Crash Team Racing's case, because you had new tracks being added. Obviously the developers were working on that stuff. You kind of have this storefront that resets every sort of 10 hours or whatever it is, and you can access different things. So I think there's a way to do it where it's palatable. You know that you're paying this one-off price, you get a ton of content up front on launch day or whatever it is, and then you can kind of see why they're doing that on the developer side. It's always that balance. And if there's a company that goes against that balance so much, it's been Activision and obviously EA. I would hope that there's not that many ways you can insert microtransactions into a Crash Bandicoot game, other than unless they segment out different parts of the costumes and you got to pay for some gloves or you pay for the Wumpa bazooka or something like that. That's a good shout.
I don't know.
Well, maybe I can see them kind of segmenting those costumes, or those even cosmetic. I don't know. Maybe if you get a top, if you beat your multiplayer partner, or if you get a new time, you set a new world record or something, well, a new personal record is probably more likely. Maybe have little kind of emotes, or your Crash, like you said, gets out the Wumpa launcher, or does like a special spin or something. You can sell those separately. But I'm also wondering whether it's already been confirmed that there are 100 levels in this game, which is quite substantial. I think that's about the same amount of levels as the entire Insane trilogy. So like essentially it's going to be as big as all those 3 games put together. But I wonder if they are planning on doing post-launch levels that you can unlock with Wumpa fruit or whatever, but then you can also pay for in kind of like real time. I don't know whether that's going to be in the form of a battle pass as well, a battle pass style system where they could say, he's a one-off purchase, you get access to all these levels and these extra cosmetic items, or you can just try to unlock them individually. I don't know.
In a way, I'm usually against the whole platform for content thing, but I think it's a great business model if you can make it work, if you can be respectful of a community and you can do it where you have an engaged player base like month by month and they're checking back in, and like I said, it's all about respect, and like there's maybe a way to do that where you bring all the hardcore Crash Bandicoot fans in and you give them increasingly hard platforming challenges every couple of months, and you see how the player base reacts, and then like a few months later it's like, well, we saw how you guys did that, we thought this was the hardest thing ever, but actually we've learned and we're going to do this. And like that's a really cool idea for me. Like I like the idea of a platforming game being something that they can still like add stuff to. But it just depends kind of how it's done. I was going to say as well, we should cover some of the positives, because like I think the game looks great. You mentioned that like it's potentially the same size as the Insane trilogy. Apparently it's been in development since they finished on the Insane trilogy, and the developers are made up of like just super fans for Crash Bandicoot. Apparently they consulted with Taylor Kurosaki, who's an old writer for Naughty Dog, who was around when the original Crash Bandicoot games were being made. He now works for Activision, so apparently they got in touch with him and just said, help us get in the mindset of making more Crash.
That's cool.
Which is great. The thing with, I was going to say with the plugging levels and stuff into it, is that the plot is apparently a direct continuation of where Crash 3 ended. So it's like Cortex, Entropy, and Uka Uka are all stranded on some planet because they got warped away after the end of Crash 3, and they're struggling to escape or whatever, and they break time and space escaping, which is a cool, that obviously makes for some cool like varied levels and everything. But if they want to just plug more levels into it, they've said that you can play as Cortex because they're going to be dealing with multiple timelines, which you could just plug a whole timeline into that and be like, well, this is the one where Crash has tribal tattoos, or this is the one where he's over here doing something else.
Yes, I think I did when it was leaked beforehand, I think I did a video with Ash and we were talking about like the possibilities of that, and that kind of came up, the fact that you could jump through like these different timelines, go and see this Crash that a lot of people don't like and kind of poke fun at him, Spidey 3 style, or jump through another portal and suddenly you've bumped into Skylander's Spyro or something like that. You know what I mean? I love the potential for that, while it also having it being like a direct continuation, like you said. Like the idea that this picks up in 1998 is kind of that's so satisfying to me, man. I can't even explain. It's both nostalgic and new at the same time. You know what I mean? It's kind of hitting both of those bases, and the idea that you get to play as I'm eating my words. I'm so excited. The fact that you get to play as these other characters as well in the same storyline while retaining the core Crash platforming with a few new tricks and a few new bells and whistles. I don't know, man. Like I'm genuinely excited for it. Way more than I thought it was going to be.
The way that it's written as well, the fact that obviously in the trailer they retcon everything after Crash 3, where it's like, how many times have we beaten Cortex? And he's like, 3? Yeah. And it's like there's so much they could do with if they're gonna split it off and make Mind Over Mutant as one timeline, Crash Twinsanity is another timeline. Like the main Naughty Dog canon is like their 616 universe to make a Marvel reference. And then there's so much they could do with that. I would love like regular old school Crash to come across his tribal self and then just like, and he's, I don't know, maybe Tribal Crash is like a Kerry King Slayer fan. That's why he got covered in tribal tats. For me, there'd be so much you could do with that. But yeah, that's like pure sort of, potentially like fan wish fulfillment stuff. And one last thing I was going to mention on the positive side is that they've got a retro mode or a modern mode. In regards to either if you go retro mode, you get a limited amount of lives, the checkpoints are still placed very effectively, but you get a limited amount of lives that will eventually kick you back to the very beginning of the level. Same way as the old games. Or you can play in modern mode, which is unlimited lives, and I think you're always reset to the most recent checkpoint. I'll be playing on modern mode, but I know that you masochistically will be going with the retro mode.
Well, yeah, it's got to be retro mode, you know what I mean? If this is going to be a proper continuation of Crash Bandicoot Warped, I've got to have those same challenges, which is, it might sound weird because I don't think Crash 2 or Crash 3 are even that difficult. It's the first game that's like really masochistic and really wants to grind you down. But I feel like if I'm going to play a Crash game, and I want the best of old school Crash in a new version of, the franchise, I want to have those lives. I want to have those old school checkpoints. I want to have to get through, areas, even if they're not that challenging, with this extra kind of, challenge or worry or intensity. I don't know. It's weird to use the word intensity while describing Crash Bandicoot 4.
That first game was intense.
Partly what I want. It can be. And the fact that these levels, they look bigger and they look more fast-paced as well. There are a lot of abilities that have you kind of, grinding down the rope. So you're jumping from one platform to another with these gravity boots or whatever. And I like the additions to that makes it almost feel like this kind of flowing piece. It doesn't look, at least from the gameplay released so far, like this stop and start thing, like you're not doing a jump, stopping, getting your bearings, doing another jump. It feels like it's all about the flow, about like going through the levels and overcoming the obstacles without breaking your momentum, which I absolutely love. And it lends itself well to time trials and stuff, which are a huge part of the original trilogy, obviously.
Man, the gameplay, honestly, I think are we excited about a Crash Bandicoot game in 2020?
I think we might be, I think that's where we are at this.
Yeah. I'm just ludicrously psyched for it. I think, like you said, there's a whole bunch of new abilities. There's a gravity mask. There's something that slows down time as well. But yeah, everything that they're doing seems to be completely on point, which was why it would suck if Activision sort of came in, almost like this sort of spectre that visits the development team, just saying, can you just separate that and put a price point there? Just hopefully it'll all come together as well as it sounds right now. But let us know what you think down in the comments below. What predictions do you have as to how Activision may or may not ruin Crash Bandicoot 4? And hopefully it'll all be okay. For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
I've been Josh from WhatCulture.com.
I'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Michael.
Scott Telford, I've just kind of realised that. I think someone described me in a video the other day that I was looking increasingly like Crash Bandicoot. And I just realised that you're Neocortex, so that's brilliant. You know what I mean?